Sophie Bennett stood before the mirror in her luxurious apartment, her golden blonde hair tied back neatly under a worn-out baseball cap. A torn tracksuit and dirty sneakers made her look like a drifter, far from the renowned fashion designer of Bennett Couture. 6 months ago, she'd stumbled into the Willow Street Animal Rescue Center to escape the rain. And there she saw him, Liam Carter, with warm brown eyes, cradling a soaked, rescued pup. Sophie's heart raced. But when she heard Liam curse the selfish billionaires who only care about money, she knew instantly he'd never speak to someone like her, the daughter of Evelyn Bennett, the wealthy fashion queen. "I have to do something," Sophie whispered to herself, peeling off her designer coat and slipping into an old sweater from a thrift store. She started showing up at the center, playing the role of a poor volunteer named Soph. No last name, no past, just hands ready to care for abandoned cats and clean dog pens. Liam smiled at her for the first time as she wiped mud off a puppy, saying, "You're pretty good at this, Soph." That simple praise made her blush, but it also terrified her. If he knew who she really was, that smile would vanish. Day after day, Sophie lived two lives. By day, she was a talented designer in a gleaming studio. By night, she was covered in mud beside Liam. She adored how gently he stroked the pets, loved his deep, warm voice as he shared dreams of saving more animals. But whenever he got closer, asking, "Where'd you come from, Soph?" she dodged, her heart pounding with fear of exposure. "Just someone who likes cats and dogs," she'd laugh awkwardly, her chest heavy. One evening, as Liam asked her to feed a blind cat named Dusty, his hand brushed hers. Sophie flinched, a jolt like electricity running through her. "You okay?" Liam asked, concerned. Fine, she replied quickly, turning away to hide her flushed cheeks. But deep down, she knew she couldn't keep this up forever. Pretending to be poor wasn't just a disguise. It was becoming part of her, a part she wanted to hold on to stay near Liam. But the truth, it lurked, ready to shatter everything she'd built. Sophie sat in Mia Torres's apartment, her only friend who knew her secret. A cold coffee cup sat untouched before her, her hands twisting an old rag, the one she used at the center to wipe sweat. "I can't pretend anymore, Mia," Sophie sighed, her voice thick with exhaustion. 6 months I've lived like a homeless person to be near Liam, but I'm tired. I love him, and I have to tell him the truth. Mia, with her wild curls and camera dangling from her neck, burst out laughing. "Finally ready to live for real, fashion queen? Relax, you've got this." Sophie bit her lip, staring into the distance. "But if he finds out I'm Sophie Bennett, Evelyn Bennett's daughter, he'll hate me. He's always saying rich people just destroy things, like how my mom built showrooms on public land." Mia tilted her head. "Then prove you're different. Tell him. Don't let him guess." Sophie nodded faintly, but inside a storm of worry raged. Liam, with his strong hands and warm heart, how would he react when he learned she wasn't the poor Soph he liked? She remembered yesterday, when Liam pulled her to a corner of the center, pointing at a newly rescued dog. "Look at this, Soph. We did it," he grinned, eyes sparkling. Sophie wanted to hug him right then, to scream she'd loved him since their first glance. But she just smiled. Yeah, teamwork. Now with Mia, she wondered, will this teamwork crumble when he knows the truth? Mia patted her shoulder. "You're stronger than you think. Tell him today. Good luck." Sophie stood clutching her old backpack, the prop that kept her disguise alive. "I'll do it," she said, her voice shaky but firm. On the way to the center, she rehearsed in her mind, "Liam, I'm not the poor girl you think. I'm Sophie Bennett, and I love you." But each step grew heavier, as if her dirty shoes were dragging her back. She pictured Liam turning away, his warm eyes turning cold with contempt. "No," she told herself, "I have to try. Whatever happens, I can't live a lie anymore." The center's door loomed ahead, her heart pounding like it might burst. Sophie stepped into the rescue center, the familiar scent of hay and fur wrapping around her. Liam stood near the cat pens, phone in hand, eyes gleaming. "Soph, let's post a call for volunteers today, huh?" he said, voice buzzing with excitement. "Locals are really following the center's page now." Sophie smiled, heart racing. You're amazing, Liam. This was her chance. She took a deep breath, ready to say, Liam, I need to tell you. But he cut her off, face darkening. You hear about this? Bennett Couture wants to tear this place down for a showroom. Sophie froze. Bennett Couture, her mother Evelyn's company. She knew her mom was ambitious, but demolishing the rescue center? Why would they do that? She stammered, struggling to keep her voice steady. Liam shrugged. Those billionaires, always about money? Bet Evelyn Bennett's behind it. We've got to save this place. Sophie felt the ground drop beneath her. She wanted to shout, "That's my mom!" but only nodded. Yeah, we have to do something. Liam clapped his hands. Call the press now. Do an interview. Spread the word. Public pressure will stop them. Sophie nodded, her mind a mess. She'd meant to confess, but now wasn't the time. The center was in danger, and she couldn't risk Liam suspecting her yet. How can I help? She asked, voice hoarse. Liam grinned. You're great at writing, Soph. Draft a call to action. I'll handle the rest. His shoulder brushed hers, making her tremble. You okay? He asked. Fine, she said fast, turning to hide her panicked eyes. At an old wooden table, Sophie scribbled, Save Willow Street Center from greedy hands. But each word cut like a knife. Greedy was her mom, her family. Liam peeked over her shoulder. Perfect, Soph. You're amazing for helping us. Sophie forced a smile. Just doing what's right. But inside, fear gnawed. If Liam knew she was Evelyn's daughter, what would he think? She wanted to protect the center, protect this love, but her secret tightened around her neck like an invisible noose. Sophie stood by the cat pens, her trembling hand clutching the pen she'd just used to write the call to save the center. Liam approached, his brown eyes blazing with fury. You know the Bennetts, Soph? He asked, voice growling like a guard dog. Sophie nodded, her throat dry. He slammed his fist on the wooden table. Those rich bastards. I bet Evelyn Bennett, that fashion witch, is set on tearing this place down for her fancy showroom. Sophie felt her heart stop. Evelyn, her mother, was being cursed by Liam, unaware she was her flesh and blood. Why would they tell me? She hesitated, her voice faint like a kitten's mew, eyes dodging Liam's glare. I'm just a volunteer. Liam nodded hard. Exactly. They wouldn't even glance at people like us. But it's over now. We've got to call the press. Do an interview. Spread the word. Save the center. Sophie nodded along, but inside a storm of fear raged. Her secret, her identity as Sophie Bennett, hung by a thread, ready to snap any moment. Liam patted her shoulder. You okay, Soph? You're pale as a ghost. Sophie forced a smile, sweat rolling down under her old cap. Fine, just shocked. I hate those rich jerks, too. The lie slipped out smoothly, but she wondered, did she hate them or just herself for pretending? Liam grinned. You're so like me, Soph. Let's save this place together. He turned to make a call, leaving Sophie there, gripping the pen like a lifeline. She watched his back, her heart aching. If he knew she wasn't poor Soph, but the daughter of the witch he just damned, what would he do? Turn away? Despise her? Sophie closed her eyes, trying to banish the thought. I have to keep this secret, she whispered to herself, at least until the center's safe. But every word Liam spat about the Bennetts stabbed her disguise, cracking it bit by bit. Sophie burst into the Bennett Couture headquarters, her mud-stained volunteer outfit glaring against the lavish surroundings. She shoved open her mother's office door. Evelyn Bennett, fashion billionaire, silver hair pinned high, eyes sharp as knives. Why do you look like a beggar? Evelyn asked, voice icy, fingers pausing on her keyboard. Sophie took a deep breath, stepping forward. Mom, we need to talk about the Willow Street Rescue Center. Don't destroy it. Evelyn raised an eyebrow, a smirk curling her lips. That rundown place? Why do you care? Sophie clenched her fists, voice trembling but firm. I met someone there, Liam. He works to save animals. That center means everything to him. I love him, Mom. Please don't tear it down. Evelyn leaned back, eyeing her like a naive child. You love someone? A dog rescuer? That's hilarious, Sophie. It's not funny, Sophie snapped, stepping closer. You don't get it. That place is home to innocent creatures and to me too. If you destroy it, you destroy my happiness. Evelyn laughed, the sound echoing in the cold room. Happiness? You think love's a game? Fine, I won't touch it. It's just a misunderstanding. I'll cancel the plan now. Sophie exhaled, eyes lighting up. Really? Thank you, Mom. She hugged Evelyn tightly, believing her mother had taken her side. Go on, Evelyn said, voice softening, but her eyes flickered with something unreadable. Sophie left the office, heart light. She pictured telling Liam the good news, seeing him smile at her. Not as rich Sophie Bennett, but as the Soph he trusted. Mom gets me, she told herself, stepping out with hope swelling. But she didn't see Evelyn's gaze behind her. The look of someone who just lied, plotting something bigger. Sophie had won a battle, but she'd unknowingly walked into her mother's trap. Sophie raced back to the center, a radiant smile lighting up her face. She found Liam among the volunteers, shouting, Liam, the center's safe. My mom canceled the demolition. Liam turned, his eyes brightening. Really, Soph? How'd you manage that? Sophie grinned, heart racing. I convinced her. We've won! Liam clapped her shoulder. You're incredible. Now we just need the interview to seal it. Sophie nodded, her chest light, thinking every danger had passed. But then Liam's phone rang. He answered, his face paling. What? No way! He spun to Sophie, voice frantic. It's not next month, it's tonight. What's your mom doing, Soph? Sophie froze as if doused in ice water. That's impossible, she stammered, hands trembling as she grabbed her phone to call Evelyn. Her mother picked up, voice calm. I changed my mind, Sophie. You need a dose of reality. Love won't feed you? Sophie screamed, You lied to me. Why would you do this? Evelyn chuckled softly. Because you're too naive. Sophie dropped the phone, her mind spinning. Liam gripped her shoulders. How do you know her? What's going on? Sophie didn't answer, tears blurring her vision. She trusted Evelyn, believed her mother would help save the center and her love for Liam. But Evelyn had betrayed her, rushing the demolition just to teach her that dreams had no place in this world. I'm sorry, she whispered, but Liam didn't hear. He dashed off to alert the others. The center erupted in chaos. Excavators roared closer. Dogs barked in panic. Sophie stood amid the turmoil, heart shattered. She watched Liam yell to the volunteers, Get ready! We have to stop them! But she knew interviews or resistance were useless now that Evelyn had decided. Her mother wasn't just destroying the center. She was tearing apart Sophie's dreams piece by piece. Sophie stood in the middle of the Willow Street Rescue Center, breath ragged as Bennett Cooter's excavators thundered like a grim symphony. Liam shouted to the volunteers, Everyone, grab your stuff. We've got to get out. But Sophie didn't budge. She looked at Liam, his brown eyes full of worry, and knew it was now or never. Taking a deep breath, she stepped into the crowd, voice shaky but strong. Everyone, listen. I'm Sophie Bennett, Evelyn Bennett's daughter, the one trying to destroy this place. The center fell silent. Liam spun around, eyes wide. What? Sophie pulled off her old cap, letting her golden hair spill free, her gaze unwavering. This is my second home, and the home of these innocent creatures. Liam, you're the kindest person I know. I'm not leaving. A volunteer yelled, Are you kidding? You're her daughter? Sophie nodded. Yes, but I'm not like her. I'm here to save this place. Liam stepped forward, voice hoarse. Sophie? You've been lying to me all along? Sophie shook her head, tears streaming. Not lying. I just wanted to be near you. Wanted you to see me as Soph, not some billionaire's kid. The excavators drew closer, dust swirling, but Sophie stood firm. She shouted, My mom wants to tear this down. Let her try. I'll stay, even if I'm buried with it. The crowd buzzed, some clapped, but Liam just stood there, pale, disbelieving. Sophie grabbed his hand. Liam, Trust me just this once. He pulled away, voice cold. I need time. Sophie nodded, pain stabbing her chest, but she didn't back down. She stood there, amid the trembling center, a small flame facing her mother's raging storm. Her secret was out. Now she'd fight for what she believed in. Sophie pulled Liam to a corner of the center, away from the fleeing crowd. Machinery roared outside, but all she saw were his brown eyes, now clouded with doubt and hurt. Liam, listen, she said, voice rough from crying. I know you're angry, but I have to say it. I love you. Since 6 months ago, when you saved that first dog I saw. I pretended to be poor because you hate rich people like me. Liam stepped back, fist clenched. You're Sophie Bennett, daughter of the woman wrecking this place. And you say you love me? How can I believe that? Sophie moved closer, tears falling. Because I'd rather lose everything than lose you. I hated myself in fancy clothes and lavish studios. Only here with you do I truly live. He turned away, but she grabbed his hand. Look at me, Liam. He faced her, eyes red. You know what I think of billionaires? They ruin everything. Like your mom right now. Sophie nodded. I know, and I'm sorry. But I'm not her. I'm here, ready to be buried with this center beside you. Liam sighed, voice softening. You're crazy, Sophie. She gave a weak smile. Crazy for you. If my mom destroys this place, let her. I'm not going anywhere. Liam stared at her, silent for a long moment. Then he whispered, You're such a fool. Sophie nodded. A fool for loving you? She stood there waiting for him to walk away, but he didn't. He took her hand again, gently, as if testing if she was real. The excavators loomed closer, but in that instant, Sophie only heard her heartbeat and a fragile hope that Liam might understand. Victor Lang, Evelyn Bennett's former manager, stood outside the rescue center, hands on hips, face flushed with rage. Fired by Evelyn for botching a showroom project, he'd sunk his savings into Pet Paradise, a rival pet store near Willow Street. I'll show you who survives, Victor roared, glaring at the center shaking under Evelyn's demolition crew. He aimed to prove Sophie and Liam wrong, to spite the Bennetts by stealing their customers. But Victor was short-sighted. He hired cheap staff, crammed pets into tiny cages, skimped on food to save cash. Soon, rumors spread. Pet Paradise abuses animals. Customers deserted him, staff quit, and protesters smashed his store's windows with rocks. Victor yelled into the rain, Don't you know who I am? But no one cared. He lost everything. His shop shuttered in just 2 weeks. Meanwhile, Sophie and Liam stood firm in the center, hands clasped, defying the roaring excavators. Victor watched from afar, grinding his teeth. I should have won! But his greed and bitterness dragged him into the abyss, a bitter lesson for a man who valued money over mercy. Sophie's center, though shaky, glowed with love and resilience, while Victor faded into a defeated shadow. Sophie stood in the heart of the Willow Street Rescue Center, her hand gripping Liam Carter's tightly, eyes fixed on Bennett Couture's demolition team closing in. Excavators roared, dust clouded the air, but she didn't flinch. Her cry, I'm Sophie Bennett, had spread. Volunteers snapped photos, posted online, and a mob of protesters gathered at the gate. Save Willow Street Center, they shouted, waving signs. Liam turned to her, voice rough. You did it, Sophie. They're listening. Sophie smiled faintly. No, we did it. Liam's phone buzzed nonstop, reporters calling. One yelled through a megaphone. Is Sophie Bennett really here? Fighting her own mother? Sophie nodded, shouting back, Yes! I won't let her destroy this place. News exploded online. Fashion Heiress stands up for animals. The public's outrage crushed Evelyn Bennett. In her lavish office, Evelyn slammed the desk, barking at her assistant. Stop it! Cancel the demolition! That girl's humiliated me enough! The excavators fell silent. The crew retreated, leaving the center intact. Liam hugged Sophie hard, the first time since her reveal. "You're insane, but I'm proud of you," he whispered. Sophie laughed, tears rolling. "I'd rather be insane for this than live a lie." The crowd cheered, dogs barked as if in thanks. But joy wasn't complete. Her phone lit up with a text from Evelyn. "You won this time, but don't expect my money anymore." Sophie shrugged, showing Liam. "I've lost it all." He squeezed her hand. "You've got me, and this center." The next day, Sophie and Liam stood before the center, repainting its chipped sign. "We'll rebuild, make it bigger," Liam said, eyes shining. Sophie nodded. "And no one will tear it down again." Together, a designer who'd lost everything and a rescuer who never gave up, they turned peril into triumph. The center didn't just survive, it became a symbol of courage, fueled by their love and grit. Sophie Bennett sat on a wooden bench outside the rescue center, sunset glowing on her weary but peaceful face. Liam sat beside her, stroking a blind cat named Dusty, his gentle smile warming her heart. 6 months of pretending to be poor, a week battling her mother, and now she'd lost her fortune, but she felt no regret. She gazed at the center, alive with barking dogs and laughing volunteers, and thought, "Money can't buy this." "Your mom was wrong," Liam said, as if reading her mind. "She thought destroying this place would teach you a lesson, but you taught her one." Sophie nodded, voice low. "I learned more than she'll ever know. I used to think wealth was everything, studios, dresses, fame. But as poor Soph, I found real value here. With you, these creatures, the courage to be true." Liam grinned. "You're still crazy, but the kind I like." She thought of Evelyn. Her mother didn't lose by failing to demolish the center, but by not seeing that money doesn't define a person. Victor Lang fell too, his pet paradise collapsing under greed, while Sophie stood tall by choosing love over all else. "I'd rather be a poor volunteer with you than a lonely princess in my mom's castle," she said, eyes blazing. Liam took her hand. "Then stay here, Soph." "No, the real Sophie Bennett." Sophie stood, gazing at the center that was now her home. She'd learned living true wasn't easy. It meant sacrifice, facing fears, sometimes losing everything. But in return, she had Liam, the pet she'd cared for with muddy hands, and herself. No more lies. "I didn't win by saving this place," she whispered to the wind, "but by daring to love and be me." The sunset dipped, and Sophie knew this was her real beginning.